Hello everyone, my name is Elias and together with Zulfire, Ibrahim, Laura and Marlene, we decided on power of language as our umbrella topic. And first you will see my individual project, which is a short video explaining the basics of the English language. Hello everyone, today I'll give you a small introduction to different aspects of the English language. First, a quick history lesson. 5th century tribes, such as the Angles and the Saxons, mixed their Germanic tongues, giving us Old English. Then, in 1066, William the Conqueror brings French, and we get Middle English. The Renaissance adds Latin and Greek sprinkles. Shakespeare makes up words, and boom, we have early modern English. Now let's not forget tourism. English is like the Swiss Army knife of languages when you're traveling. Need to ask for directions in Paris? Speak English with a charming French accent. Ordering sushi in Tokyo? A sprinkle of English will do. Lost in the Amazon rainforest? Okay, maybe English won't help you there, but you get the point. Next we have the internet. The World Wide Web is basically an English playground. Social media, memes, cat videos, video games, most of it is in English. It's the language of LOLs, OMGs, cringes and epic fail compilations. Let's talk about business. The global economy runs on English. From Wall Street to the Silicon Valley, if you want to make big money, you need to know how to say synergy and leverage without cringing too much. Meetings in Tokyo, emails to Berlin, contracts to Dubai, they are all in English. It's the language of money. So as you can see, English is quite a useful language. Okay, so I hope you did enjoy my video. I tried to give a short overview over different aspects of the English language because as our umbrella topic, power of language, I wanted to first give all of you a short overview. And for that, my video was heavily influenced by the YouTube channel Oversimplified. That's a big shout out. Oversimplified summarizes historical events such as the First and Second World War, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, all sorts of wars that happened throughout our history, and they create those videos with animation figures, and it's very, very entertaining to watch. So if you have to learn for a history exam, or if you're just interested in learning about the biggest wars of humanity, check out Oversimplified. They were a big inspiration for my video. And yeah, when I first started my individual group project, I wanted to go in a different direction because I've been to England and America this year. I wanted to talk about the different accents or the different behavior between Germans, English-speaking people from London, where I've been to, and from America. But along the way, Oversimplified dropped new videos, and when I watched them, I was like, "Wow, that's awesome! I wanna try to make a short video as well." And so I talked with the others. We decided on our umbrella topic, and then I started filming the video. And I really underestimated the amount of time it took to edit the video. All the cuts, all the pictures, the texts. It took a very long time, so please forgive me that the end isn't as fancy as the beginning. It was just part of the process that I realized I can't put that much time into the video in the end. But I hope you still enjoyed it, and now the others of our group will dive into different aspects of the English language and why it's so powerful. Bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Arndt and I'm part of Group 4. Today I want to tell you more about the art of listening. Why did I choose this topic out of all the topics that communication has to offer? Listening to me is a skill that you need in all aspects of your life, may it be in professional life or at home with your friends or family or in learning. You always need to hear and actually process what people want to tell you. My group's topic, umbrella topic, is the power of language, and my group members all have the use of language, and I have processing language, which is listening. Our phones always attached to us. It can sometimes be tricky to shift our focus to another individual, and my personal motivation is that I have a good friend who I consider one of the best listeners I know, and I was always wondering what makes her such a great listener. So I wanted to find out more about that. I watched a lot of TED Talks and YouTube videos, and I just looked at all the information I could find on listening or how to become a good listener. I then put my research into action and conducted interviews with 12 different people from 12 different countries who I specifically chose because they also have jobs in which they need to listen on a regular basis. These are two of the sources that I looked at. I find them very insightful, and if you're interested, you can check them out. I just wanted to share them with you. I talked to 12 people that have a different cultural background. Each and every one of them shared very interesting viewpoints with me. I learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun conducting these interviews because obviously I had a chance to be a listener. And so these are the 12 countries that I interviewed people from. Of course, this is just a random sample, and the interviews that I conducted are very individual and very subjective, so they don't represent all of the people from those countries, obviously. I went into these interviews with an open mind, and I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't really expecting much of anything, so I was very open-minded concerning the outcome of the interviews. This is my research report, my individual project. This is what it looks like. It's the first page of 4. Here are the questions that I asked my participants. The first one is, what would you say is the importance of listening in your culture? How well do people listen? The second one is, what's the part of listening versus talking in this culture? The third one is, what's your experience with listening in your friend group or family? The fourth one is, did you notice any differences in the way people listen when you look at other cultures that you have encountered or worked with? And the fourth one is, what is the role listening plays for you personally and professionally? So on the person, and depending on what I already knew about them, I changed the questions slightly. A good listener or a good active listener just asks the question and then gives the person room to answer in full length. That's what I did. And this is the outcome. So if you are interested in my interviews, you can pause the video here again and read all the interviews. I got some really fascinating insights, and I learned a lot. And I think that there are some cultural differences in listening as well as in talking. Listening has many dimensions. Some people, when they say listen, they mean do as I advised you. I think it's also very dependent on your mood, on your level of interest, on your motivation, what you want to get out of the conversation. There are so many different factors that play into listening or how well we listen. It's definitely crucial to being a good listener to commit to the conversation, show empathy and attention to what the person is trying to tell you. Also, focus on their body language. It's not only spoken words that you need to pay attention to, also nonverbal cues. The willingness to understand them, and also just to step back a little bit, listen to yourself, as Yuri said in the TED Talk. not just focus on presenting yourself so much, but also to be present, to fight the urge to jump in at any pause and just think about how to formulate an answer while the other person is speaking. It's not always easy because we all want to kind of put our 2 cents into the conversation. So it takes practice. It's definitely a skill and doesn't just happen automatically. We all need to work on being good listeners, and that takes practice. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this talk.
Hello, my name is Ibrahim Demirdag, and today I will be discussing how multiple languages affect our personality and communication styles based on my own experiences and research conducted over the past semester. From my own experience speaking German, English, Arabic, Turkish, and Aramaic, I've observed notable differences in how I express myself in each language. In Turkish, I often communicate more directly and with greater emphasis on personal opinions and emotions. When speaking German, my communication tends to be more structured and precise, reflecting the language's formal and methodical nature. Whereas Arabic allows me to be more expressive and elaborate, often incorporating rich metaphors and emotional nuance. Of course, English is more adaptable and open and influenced by its global and diverse use. And Aramaic I primarily use in religious contexts, and I find my communication to be more introspective and reflective. And these experiences highlight how different languages can bring out different aspects of one's personality and communication style. Um, To understand these observations better, let's look at some of the theoretical concepts that explain why these differences occur. The concept of linguistic relativity, also known as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, posits that language shapes thought and perception. Studies by Sapir and Whorf, among others, show that languages with distinct grammatical structures can lead to different cognitive processes. And research indicates that bilingual individuals may experience frame switching, where their thoughts and behaviors change with the language being used. And additionally, languages can influence traits such as openness and agreeableness. For example, speakers of languages that emphasize politeness might exhibit higher agreeableness. To explore these theoretical concepts further, I conducted a detailed study over the past semester, and here's how I gathered my data. Over several months, I kept a detailed journal documenting my thoughts and feelings and interactions in each language. I conducted interviews with multilingual individuals, asking them about their experiences and perceptions of personality shifts when switching languages. I also reviewed existing literature on linguistic relativity, multilingualism, and personality to support my observations. Personal reflections were systematically recorded to track any noticeable changes in behavior and communication style. Now let's dive into the comparative analysis of the data I collected. In my journal, I noted that speaking Turkish often led to more passionate and opinionated discussions. German interactions were marked by clarity and logical structuring. Arabic conversations were rich with emotional depth and elaborate expressions. English allowed for a relaxed and flexible approach, and Aramaic provided a reflective and spiritual tone. The interview highlights include Amina, who reports feeling diplomatic in French and passionate in Arabic, with a more reserved English personality. Then there's Mark, who feels outgoing and friendly in Spanish, his native language, while being reserved and structured in German. And most people I interviewed all say the same thing, where the more confident you are in a language, the more your personality comes through. And common trends include feeling assertive in direct communication styles, more diplomatic in polite languages, and adaptive traits depending on the cultural context. Based on this comparative analysis, here are the main findings and realizations from my project. Multilingualism allows for flexible personality expression. Individuals can adapt their communication styles based on the language they are using. Different languages can enhance various personality traits such as assertiveness, politeness, emotional expressiveness, and adaptability. And there's a noticeable frame switching effect where cognitive processes and behaviors shift with language changes. Um, Understanding the influence of language on personality can improve cross-cultural communication. Multilingual individuals have the potential to navigate diverse social contexts more effectively. This adaptability can be particularly beneficial in globalized work environments and multicultural interactions. Finally, let's look at the overall conclusion and implications of this project. In summary, language profoundly influences personality and communication styles. This project has shown that the way we express ourselves can change significantly with the language we use. Understanding these dynamics is crucial in multicultural settings, such as international businesses and global teams. It allows us to better appreciate the diversity in communication and leverage multilingual abilities to enhance interactions across cultures. In practical terms, this knowledge can improve cross-cultural training programs, enhance global teamwork, and inform language learning methodologies. Future research could explore these dynamics further, perhaps focusing on specific industries or social settings to see how multilingualism impacts professional and personal relationships. Thank you for listening. This was my part of the group project. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Hi, and welcome to my part of the presentation. My name is Zufira Abdrusul, and I decided to record a podcast episode on the topic of overcoming the fear of public speaking and speaking in general, and how to convey confidence in one's speech. This is my little agenda for this presentation. First, I'm going to go into the topics or the reasons for why I chose this topic and how it relates to our umbrella topic, the way that I researched it, and my findings. So the number one main reason for why I chose this topic is out of personal interest. Public speaking and speaking in general is something that I've been researching and trying to manage. So personal interest is definitely the main reason for why I chose this topic. I think it's a very important skill to acquire for, like I wrote, nobody but yourself, to, be able to speak up and engage in conversation. I don't know if this is relatable to everyone, but sometimes it can be difficult to, speak to others, and public speaking as well. And that's also how I think it fits with our umbrella topic, which is the power of language, the power of speech. It's, mastering this and acquiring the skill of public speaking and speaking in general gives you the ability to express yourself to the fullest. It's also very relevant. It's something that we encounter on a daily basis, not necessarily public speaking and being on a stage, but, those daily interactions with people. So the way that I researched this was mainly through reading articles, watching videos, and also trial and error, reflection. You will see it has lots of psychological aspects behind it. So it's kind of necessary to just try, practice, fail, and reflect. And that's how I came to those findings. Okay, so I decided to first look at the root causes of speaking anxiety. I think that if you have a problem and you want to overcome it, you should look at the roots first. Look at what causes your problems and start from there. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fully overcome whatever your problem is. So the first root cause that I found was that it might be that you were often silenced as a child. Maybe you were made to believe that your ideas weren't important or interesting or worthy enough, and naturally you stop sharing them. This can happen in your childhood or also in your adult years now, that you get the feeling that whatever you're saying is not being listened to. And it just kind of puts that idea in your head that you should just not share your ideas anymore. It might be that you've had a bad experience in the past, something that we would call a failure, which it probably isn't a failure if you've learned from it. But bad experiences definitely shape the way that we think and feel about ourselves. And so it might be that we just have this, limiting belief now in our head that tells us that we are incapable of public speaking or any type of social interaction. You might also fear being judged. You might not like being in the spotlight, being looked at by other people, being perceived by other people might make you feel like you're out of control. And what I mean by that is, so let's say you are in the spotlight and everyone is looking at you. They have a perception of you. They are probably judging you on some level, and you don't like that you can't control people's perception of you anymore. So you feel out of control, and that's why you might not like public speaking or speaking in general. Or you also might just have a shy, introverted personality that makes it difficult for you to articulate your ideas. Some strategies that I researched to manage anxiety and how to convey confidence in your speech is number one, come prepared, be an expert in whatever it is that you're talking about. This rather applies to public speaking, being on a stage, giving a speech, but being prepared and knowing what you're talking about. I think that just gives you the confidence that you need when standing on a stage or in front of a big audience. The next one is breathing exercises, which kind of sounds funny and like it's not going to do anything, but they're actually scientifically proven breathing techniques that you can use to slow down your heart rate and calm down your nervous system. The next one is rather a strategy to convey confidence, which is thinking before speaking. Something that I also struggle with. I'm noticing it in this presentation. Sometimes we just keep on talking to fill those silent moments in between our sentences. But sometimes it's just better to think about what you're going to say next, and instead of just babbling on and on. But that also helps, just conveying confidence, seeming like, okay, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next instead of just saying everything that comes to my mind. The next one is positive affirmations, which basically, if you've reflected yourself and you know, okay, this is the root cause of my problem. For example, you were made to believe that your ideas weren't interesting, important enough. Let's say you know that you have the awareness for it, and you know that this is what's holding you back. You can kind of try to combat it by telling yourself, actually, my ideas are interesting enough. And that's just something that was, planted in my mind, which is not even true. And you can kind of counterattack those thoughts that you might have. So telling yourself that you are capable and that your anxiety doesn't mean that something, or doesn't indicate that something bad is going to happen, and that you are able to succeed in public speaking, and that your ideas are worthy to be listened to. And the last one is just working on your self-esteem in general. I think this is an important one. If you work on your confidence, your self-esteem, and this does not only apply to speaking or public speaking, this applies to just your confidence in general, to really build that trust in yourself. I think that would help in a lot of ways, and especially in public speaking and speaking as well. Because then you might not even have those thoughts anymore saying, you can't do this, your ideas aren't interesting enough. Because you just have that trust in yourself that you can do it, and you do have a space to share your ideas. So I think working on your own confidence is very important. Yes. I hope this helped. That's actually the end of my presentation. So thank you for listening, and we'll go on with the next person.
Hello, my name is Marlene Buchholz. I am part of the ILS Part 2 Group 6, and I will now present to you my individual project and also part of the group project in Group 6. So first, I will try to share my screen with you. And a little bit tricky. Okay. So we're good to go. The first thing I want to show you is, or want to tell you is, I decided to write a short story. So I will blend this short story in for you now, and you can just feel free to stop the video, read the first part of the story. Then I will blend you in the second part of the story, and you can stop the video again and read the second part. So after that, I will provide you with some insight to the topic, communication in marriages. So this is the first part of the short story, and this is the second part. Like I said before, feel free to just stop the video and read the story, and then I will go further to my first point, why communication matters. There is a psychologist, John Gottman. He studied relationships for decades. And he says that effective communication is a key predictor of marital process and also success. So that communication is an essential for the success and the well-being of a relationship and especially a marriage. In general, it's to say that couples who communicate well tend to have stronger and more satisfying relationships. And now I will go further to the point why there are communication struggles, or what are the most common communication struggles. So the first one is miscommunication and misunderstandings. So this often happens when one partner assumes the other knows what they're thinking or feeling, and doesn't really take the time to really explain it, because they maybe think, okay, my partner knows me so well, he should know that about me, or he should know, he or she should know that this is a problem for me right now. And the solution for that is to just practice clear and direct communication, and don't expect your partner or assume that your partner can read your mind. So take the time to explain what you're feeling and what the triggers are, and don't hope for them to just know it, because none of us, or I am not able to read minds, so the others probably don't as well. The second common communication struggle is lack of active listening. And what is important to say here is that active listening involves fully concentrating, understanding, responding, and then remembering what is being said. So it's not just sitting there and being present, it's more than that. And the solution is to give your full attention to your partner when they're speaking. To not just do something else at the same time, like watching a video on your phone or doing something else. Just focus on the conversation and yeah, show them that they have your attention and your time. It is also really important here to not interrupt or respond before the other person finished talking. The third one is avoidance of difficult conversations. So there are some couples who are able to talk about everything, but there are also couples who avoid talking about sensitive topics to prevent conflict. On the one hand, but a little bit farther, this can lead to unresolved issues. So maybe in the present, a conflict will not occur or a problem will not be as present, but in the future, it will come back and haunt you. So the solution for that is to approach difficult conversations with a calm and open mindset, not see it as a problem between you two, but see it as a problem that the two of you are facing together. So in general, it's to say that it is important to address issues rather than letting them fester. And now we come to the fourth one, defensive responses. So it is really important here to not see everything as an offense. And defensive responses happen when one partner feels attacked and responds defensively, which can also escalate in conflicts. So it is really important here to practice empathy, to try to understand your partner's perspective before responding, and in general, not to feel attacked or offended when someone expresses their feelings to you. Now we come to the third point, to the tips for improving communication. And the first one is to set aside time for regular check-ins. It is important to schedule regular times to talk about your relationship. This doesn't have to be every day, could be weekly, could be bi-weekly, or even monthly. But to have an appointment, like a scheduled appointment that is coming again and repeating. To just talk about the relationship. Then it is really important to use I statements instead of just pushing a person or telling her you did that or you did this wrong or you didn't know this or that. But to go there with a different approach, like I didn't feel heard by you, or I didn't feel understood, I didn't feel validated, I didn't feel appreciated. But to articulate about your own emotions and not about what the other person apparently did wrong. And this is really, really important. Practice empathy. So if you try to see the world with your partner's eyes and to understand what his point of view is, their point of view is, then the communication gets easier because you get another perspective in your way of thinking. And the fourth one is, if there doesn't help anything, if the communication struggles persist, consider seeing a marriage counselor. They can provide valuable tools and strategies to improve your communication. And in general, maybe it is not the worst thing for any of us to see, for example, a psychologist or a coach once in their lives. So maybe you did already see some mirrored factors in the short story. Maybe you can now go back to the short story and find something that is in a story that could have been prevented by, for example, the tips for improving communication, or where you see issues or problems that were talked about before in the presentation. Maybe you can find some. Yeah, I will now tell you where you can learn more about the topic. Feel free to just check out my sources. And yes, I thank you very much for your attention. And I hope this is working now. Okay. So I thank you very much for your attention and see you soon. Bye.